we heard, what was it, a few months ago, about somebody finding a sealed case of 1979-80 O-Pee-Chee hockey cards, which of course is the Wayne Gretzky rookie year. This, like, as far as card collecting goes, specifically to hockey, this really is the holy grail, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, this is exactly like, to find this is unbelievable. It's the only known sealed case in the world at this point, and it was found in little old Regina, Saskatchewan. The story goes that, family was just kind of cleaning out some boxes down in the basement. I believe the father, who had collected for years, had passed away, and they're just kind of cleaning out all these boxes. And they were under the impression that it was actually, because it says 1980 on the box, so they thought it was 1980, 81. And someone said, I would double check if I were you. And they kind of peeled back the top layer a little teensy bit and noticed that the boxes were white. Well, the 1980-81 boxes were blue. It was the 79-80 boxes that were white. Lo and behold, that meant that there are 16 boxes of a Wayne Gretzky rookie card year set inside that case. So that instantly made that box worth a couple $1 million more than what they originally thought. And yeah, it finally sold on auction this past weekend. I've been watching it. It was about 3 weeks long, I think the auction was, over at Heritage, and it finally sold for $3.1 million USD plus a buyer's premium. So the final sale price was $3.72 million American, which is roughly 5 million Canadian. Just an astonishing price to pay for some cardboard.
What was that? I mean, I'm not sure whether you knew this, but was that more than what was expected for this to fetch? Or, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people had done some numbers as to what this thing is worth. And I mean, there's a lot of speculation in it because, of course, these are unopened boxes and unopened packs. But there'll be some Gretzky's in there.
Yeah, so it is a little bit more than I think most people were anticipating. I think the expected value was to come in and around the $2-ish million mark. So it went for over three. So it definitely did go over the mark that people thought it would. So be based on the set. There's estimates that there could be up to 27 Gretzky rookie cards inside this case, and it's going to be fascinating to see what the owner does, like what the person who purchased this case does. People assume that, this person's just some rich guy who probably is going to want to open it, rip it up for nostalgia purposes, and then try and grade these Gretzky rookies and try and get a PSA 10. But there's only two PSA 10s in the world, two perfectly graded 10 O-Pee-Chee Gretzky rookie cards. So it's very unlikely that it's in there. And if there is not a ready-to-go PSA 10 graded Gretzky rookie inside any of those boxes, he will never make his money back. It's not even going to come close to make it back the 3.72 million USD price that he paid for this box. So it's going to be an interesting decision whether this collector who purchased this item keeps it sealed or tries to rip open the only known box of this product.
If you can, I mean, people know, this is Wayne Gretzky, and we know this is the rookie card. But if you can, explain the grading process and why even now there are only 2 10s of the Gretzky rookie from that year.
Sure. So there's also a BGS 10, and then there's an SGC 10, and that gets a little dicey. So PSA, though, is considered like the gold standard when it comes to grading sports cards, and especially vintage sports cards at that. So basically, there's a grade from 1 to 10, and based on either it's how well the card is centered or how well the card, the surface looks, the fading, the coloring. If you'll notice, I see you got it here up on the screen. There's like the red oil drop in the Oilers logo in the bottom right corner. often that is very off-centered, and it is extremely rare to find one that is centered well. That's one thing that people look for right away, just to see if that is, going to be centered properly. So that's one thing to look at. The corners, is there any white marks? Is there any dings, edges, anything like that? Anytime you see a blemish on a card, it's going to take, part of your grade away. So a card from 1979, it's very unlikely that you're going to find one in perfect condition, even coming out of the package. Like, a lot of people have the assumption that if it's coming from the box, it's coming out of the pack, it's never seen daylight, it must be in perfect condition. It's not the case. There's a strong possibility that there could have been some cutting errors at the factory when it was packed. It could have got crimped wrong somehow, could have got bent in some way. When it was printed and cut on the sheet, could have been cut a little too far to the right, too far to the left, up, down. There's many different problems that could have been had. It could have been printed wrong on the card, like I said. So this looks like actually the oil drop is nicely centered, but there are some that are too high, too low, to the right, to the left. There's a lot of issues that could be happening with any hockey card, and especially some of these more vintage cards. So it's nearly impossible. Like I said, there's been nearly 12,000 of these Gretzky cards that have been graded by PSA, and only 2 of them have come back a PSA 10. So it's extremely unlikely that there is a PSA 10 copy waiting in one of these boxes. And like I said, unless that happens, and he somehow finds the third known to man inside there, it's unlikely that the cost will be recouped.
Any idea what the value is of those 2 PSA 10 Gretzky's right now?
Yeah, so one sold in 2021. That's the last known sale of it. Went to sale on auction. I believe it was also through Heritage, I believe, and it sold for $3.5 million US. So that's what you're hoping for. If you're gonna open this box, it's got to have a PSA 10 Gretzky in there, or else you're not gonna see that money back, and not even close. Even a 9, I think, goes for like 150,000. Like, there's that big of a drop in a PSA 10 and a PSA 9.
Yeah, I mean, these cards were made over 40 years ago. They've been in the packs. They have been in sealed boxes, but they've been in a pack with a stick of gum. I can't imagine the state of the gum, to be honest, coming out of these packs right now. But
Not something I'd be taking a chunk at.
do the cards, like, is there any worry about the cards just not being the same as you would remember them because of time? Like, it's still in the packs?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's possible that there could be some warp to these cards as well. You don't really know until you open them up. I have never personally been able to experience opening up one of these 40-year-old packs before, so I don't have firsthand experience. But I'm sure there are examples of cards that weren't packed away properly or stored properly, and maybe some moisture got into the box somehow and seeps into the packaging of wax, and they could open up these cards, these boxes, and there could be something inside. It might not be as perfect as we think. So it certainly is possible, but you wouldn't really know until you open it up. It could be perfect too. Like, it's not out of the question that they will be in as close to pristine condition as you can get.
Oh, that beautiful back of the 7980 O-Pee-Chee with the skate and the guy at the top. It was I was really, really, I mean, I think many, if you were around, if you're alive at that time, or even, growing up at all in the 80s, those cards were around. But I think there was a lot of people that had them in their bike spokes and whatnot to make it sound like a motorcycle. Thinking
that's the old story. That's the old story. I remember, because this is before my time. I'm a 90s baby, so this is far before my time. And I remember my uncle, though, telling me, I used to have 5 of those, but I put them in my bike spokes, me and my friends. I'm like, you should have put it in plastic and slabbed it, and today it could be worth thousands of dollars. So what happens as kids is interesting. I mean, my generation did the same thing with Pokemon cards, and I don't know if you know the Pokemon market these days. It's not quite as robust as $3.5 million Gretzky's, but it's quite expensive as well. And that's stuff that I just played with and got dirty and got all ripped up, and now it's not worth nearly as much.
Speaking of the money, do we know who bought this and what their intention is going forward now that they're the owner of this sealed case?
Yeah, I haven't seen an update as to who purchased this case. Obviously, Heritage Auctions, they, have it's up to the buyer if they want it to be known who purchased this case. And so far, I don't believe the identity has been out there, and no one said what their intentions are of this case. But I don't know about you. It'd be tough to have this box sitting in a closet or sitting in a warehouse or wherever this person's gonna put it, and not be tempted to open this bad boy. It's a piece of hockey history. It's the holy grail. And there could be, like I said, as many as 27 Wayne Gretzky rookie cards that you can pull pack fresh. The thrill, the rush of being able to do that would be awesome. However, it's also something that you could keep and hold sealed and use it as an investment, and maybe it sells for 4.5 million in 10 more years from now.